So for me, one of the reasons why I think is a key issue around mental health issues is the stigma and the taboo attached around it. You know, people feeling that they can't admit that they're suffering from mental health issues, particularly around their families, you know, being from a community and being expected, certain expectations being on them.
Simon, what do you think them expectations are, and why do you feel like mental health is connected with them expectations?
Well, I think some of the issues are that within families, especially words like anxiety and stuff, they didn't exist a few years ago. So there's that lack of understanding because it's a hidden disability. Whereas when you can physically see a disability, people are more understanding and accepting.
I mean, do you think it predominantly affects women more than men, or is it equal anxiety?
I think that we do have issues within both male and female, but I think one of the reasons why we struggle in accessing services as well is the embarrassment of admitting that something's wrong and going to see a medical professional. And when you can't see the same doctor, you know, you ring up, you see a different professional each and every single time. And I think, you know, we need to have these medical professionals thinking that when that person's coming in, we need to make each contact count.
Do you think the strength of the conversations, do you think that decreases the more people you see, or do you think it's just best if one person sees the person who's got the issues?
I think the problem is if you were suffering with mental health, you probably just about pluck up the courage to go and speak to somebody about it. And then if you walk into the room, you don't recognise the professional that's there, then do you want to open up to them? But whereas if you've built up a relationship with somebody, then you're probably more likely to speak to them. And I think the doctors that know you as well, they know what you're normally like, so they can look for the signs and to see, is this person behaving a bit differently to what I've seen in the past?
So do you feel that if everyone is seen by the same doctor, the mental health problem would become better?
I think not just from seen by a doctor, because GPs obviously they're general practitioners. I think people need to be referred to specific mental health practitioners, and they need to be given that support that mental health practitioners can provide. I think there's a lack of knowledge as well. People don't realise there's a language barrier as well, where people from our communities might not be able to communicate well, and then they don't understand what services are available for them.
So I've had mental health issues before. I still have mental health issues right now. I had a counselling session over a year ago now, actually, with a doctor. It lasted for about 12 weeks. It started off well, but then things went sour. I felt very different. In actual fact, there was no difference really from when I finished than when I first started.
Why was that?
Well, it was the way he was interacting with me. He wasn't listening to understand. He was listening more to reply. He was saying things like, "It's not my problem. Yes, he was saying, "It's not my issue. It's your problem, and you have to deal with it."
Do you think this was because you were a male?
I think that I felt a little bit socially outcasted, and the fact that he didn't understand me because I'm a guy and I should know better and I should be a little bit more stronger, and I was giving in to my emotions a little bit more. Maybe he didn't accept that because being a guy. That was probably.
Do you think mental health issues are more prominent in males then?
Yes, with men and mental health, men misunderstand mental health issues. They keep things to themselves. They suppress their emotions. They feel the need to carry on, soldier on, to be thick-skinned. But the thing is, there's something niggling in the background. That's going to wear down the battery eventually. And when that happens, then you've got more issues to contend with. So the best way, I think, for mental health is to catch mental health problems as early as possible, and enter the network, get the help that you need, because the longer you leave it, the more difficult it's going to get. I'm not saying that you won't come out of the problem, but you will, but it's just going to take you longer.
I think medication is probably the biggest problem. I don't think our community understands it. I don't think the medical professional people explain it properly. For example, you get your appointment you get the medication such as antidepressants, and people think that that's what they're going to be on for the rest of the time. However, that is not the case. You get the antidepressants and your dose will lower, but because the professionals don't explain that, it's harder for people to understand that eventually they will get off this medication. And even with medication, there's so many other things such as therapy, but again, it's just not explained enough for people to know.
So what needs to change?
I feel like when you do go to a professionalist, it shouldn't be just a GP. It needs to be a proper mental health practitioner, so they know what they're doing, they know what they're explaining, and just explaining to the people that you know that the tablet's not there forever, it's just a temporary fix.
Do you actually view it as a positive thing then?
Yeah, of course. So right now I know a lot of people that just take the tablet, that sit there and the tablets are just sat in the cupboards. No one actually takes them. But see, if it was explained, I feel like people would take them because they know that it's not there for like an addictive purpose, it's there to help you.
Do you think the side effects are misunderstood? For instance, do you think that people are not taking medicine because they're worried about the side effects, or is it the doctors themselves, they're not explaining the side effects to the patients?
I mean, you can say that with any medication, there's always going to be side effects, but why is just mental health, like antidepressants, why are they not being taken? Like, I understand there are side effects, but it's just there to help you. And everyone's got to remember that your dosage will go down. Your dosage won't stay as high as it is. But I feel like some people take mental health medication as a weakness to them, and that's why they're not taking it. However, in the end, it's just going to make them a stronger person.
So someone, you've been through a lot.
I've been in the services since I was 12 years old, and I've lived with like serial killers, ex-convicts, paedophiles, you name it. All those kids, we were just institutionalized, and I disagree with medicine just because of my experience. I'm aware it's a very positive thing, but all these kids, we were like injected against our will. We used to be tasered to the ground. The way you're brought into the place as well, you have like a lady who has this massive book of files, and she's like stood to the left of you, and there's like 2 guards on either side of you, like 6'5", massive people, and they're like walking you through as if you're being institutionalized. And then you get a letter as well, and letting you know that you're going into that place, and you don't have any contact with the outside world. There's a lot of religious prejudice as well, so they never used to let me pray. And one of the biggest fights that happened was actually during Ramadan when I was in that place, and my friend and I, we were the only 2 people of Muslim faith, and we were just praying like normal. And for once they let us have the Quran, which is our religious book, and we were praying, and then this like care worker just bangs into the room, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're praying." And they go, no, you're going crazy, like no such thing exists. And we were just both looking at each other like we've known this religion our whole life. And then bless her, she was like tasered to the ground. Because of it, there was like all the alarm bells were going off in the service centre. There was this massive guy that came, and we were like injected against our will. I think that day as well, they were making everyone's medicine dosage go up, so the whole ward was like unconscious for the night. And in the night as well, someone used to be in your room, and they used to like watch you whilst you slept. So there'd be someone sat on the chair whilst you're asleep, and they'd be watching you whilst you sleep. Also, of course, I was quite lucky as well. It was just women, but like they used to watch you, and you used to like shower as well.
So what needs to change, someone, after you've been through so much? And
I think every single care worker, they come into the job with a state of empathy. And understandably, over time, it just ultimately ends up becoming a job for them because they have their own personal lives. I think if that empathy was sustained throughout the whole experience and them doing their job, it would make a lot of people's lives easier.